If you've never heard of Megaman Starforce, look no further than this video. If you're not planning on buying this legacy collection, look no further than this video. If you're sitting there with your arms crossed thinking you'll never be convinced to buy the game, look no further than this video. Well, I might not be able to convince everyone, but I'll do my best. I know I've never made a video on Mega Man on my channel before, but I'd be grateful if you'd be willing to hear me out on this one because the series of these games, it's special to me. The Starforce trilogy is coming out in a few days, or a couple depending on when this video comes out, and while it's not as well known as Battle Network, it has its own charm and unique gameplay that makes it a similar but different feeling continuation of the RPG experience, especially when it comes to Mega Man. This game has a grid-based, turn-based combat system, kind of like Battle Network, except instead of fighting horizontally, the battlefield is more vertical, with the camera coming in from behind you and the monsters looking at you head-on. That means that instead of the 3x3 square grid that you might have been familiar with the previous Battle Network games, here you're basically locked to the last row that you're on, with the enemies roaming the majority of the rest of the grid in front of you. The row directly in front of you is generally empty for the most part, but some enemies will hop in front of you or move towards you to execute their moves. So if you're locked to this new base row, does that mean that the combat is all ranged? Well, absolutely not. Starforce features a new lock-on system that lets you basically teleport across the grid to hone in on your enemies and beat them up. You have to be properly aligned with the way the system works, but that lets you use all your usual sword, punch, and even some range attack moves in different ways. All three games share this system, so once you're used to it, you won't have to relearn much, but they do differ in some of the gameplay features as you progress. Being a three-part game series, naturally things will evolve and change along the way. The first game is far simpler. You just choose a version, and that's the form that your character will get during the game that you can change into. It's pretty similar in Starforce 2, but in this game we only have two versions, and you get to have your choice of Zerker X Ninja or Zerker X Saurian, so you get to access 2 out of the 3 forms in a single game of your choice. Each game basically comes with 2 play files. One will be the Ninja, and the other one will be the Zerker if you choose that one. The other one will be the Saurian, and the second file will be a Zerker as well. And so you get Zerker either way. Where it really differentiates itself, at least in my opinion, is in the third game, where there are a whopping 11 different form changes. You remember the style changes back in the Battle Network games? It's kind of similar to this, except they call them noise changes. In addition to those, there is a final form that you can evolve, quote-unquote, into if you get higher than a certain noise level during the gameplay, and that is the Black Ace and Red Joker, which are the different themed games, or the 2 different versions. This only really matters if you care about the final ultimate form that you morph into, but from my experience, honestly, it really doesn't matter all too much. People say the Joker one is superior, some people say the Aces one is superior. I never found them to make much of a difference. Usually the high-end endgame gameplay will have you staying in your base noise and not going into the Meteor server or whatever that's called. In Starforce 3, like I said, there is the noise system, and you get 10 different forms, all with different abilities that you can choose from. You get to store 2 at any given time, and if I recall correctly, there was a way to kind of bank a third, but essentially, regardless of your version, you get the chance to obtain all 10 of the base forms no matter what. Your version will dictate which is more common though, giving you a 15% chance at 5 of the forms, a 3% chance at the other 5 that the other game boosts, and then a 10% chance at Rogue form. The only downside with Rogue form is you're not allowed to use like the friend thing in the game, so it's like a little give and a take. I like the friend option, so I don't always use the Rogue form, and the Rogue form is a little bit gimmicky, but hey, that's what multiple files are for. All of these different forms give the gameplay a lot of depth and variety, and it's personally my favorite of the 3 games, both in terms of PvP and in-game battles as well. The story of the Starforce RPGs is also one that I kind of feel like is underrated. It's not going to knock your socks off in a way that something like a Xenoblade is, but it has a massive charm to it, and the continuity of the characters across the 3 games is nice as you see them grow and learn to maneuver through their lives, learning to balance this digital and real world. You see the impact of the digital world on the real world and vice versa, and fight things like cyber criminals and evil syndicates that are trying to take advantage of all these advancements in technology. If you've played something like the Battle Network games previously, then you'll be familiar with this concept, of course, and in a way, the Starforce games are technically a sequel, although far, far, far ahead of the Battle Network in timeline, as in the future. I remember myself as a kid always wondering what it would be like if I could leave the real world behind for a bit and dive into a digital world, and these RPGs not only let you do that, but they also have an imitation of that through the main character of Geostellar. We'll touch on him in a little bit, but you also have the similar return of the internet support buddies, kind of like the net navies from Battle Network, but these guys are actually aliens from outer space that not everyone is able to interact with. You get to fuse with them to wander the internet, and they have real personalities and opinions on things that you can listen to and interact with. They will be your best friends, but they also have their own opinions, and these opinions might not be in line with what your normal main character will want to accomplish. I won't spoil the story, but I actually quite enjoy the development of Geostellar alongside Omega Zis, his companion, and the contrast in their personalities. They are two distinctly different personalities that come together to become Mega Man and merge the best of both of these worlds to come to solutions. One thing that I think is really underrated in the RPG Mega Man games overall is the world building and traversal, but I think Starforce really takes that internet building to the next level. While in Battle Network we had totally separate internet and real worlds, with the internet being created in a similar structure, somewhat with it having squares assigned to the real world areas where you can jack in from and connect to, giving it a sense of continuity, Starforce merges the real world and the internet so you're walking around online, but while seeing the real world at the same time, which I really like from an integration standpoint. And this continues across various different countries and even in outer space, and the technology in this world has rapidly progressed to allow easy traversal of all of that. The characters are also super charming, and if you played any of the Mega Man RPG games or even seen the underrated Mega Man anime, a guilty childhood pleasure of mine by the way, they're characters that will forever stick with you, and you'll continue to see these characters return throughout the 3 games, grow, and even make cameo appearances with fun, optional throwback battles that you can be a part of. Of those characters, your main character, Geo, is the most important one. I touched a bit on the growth in his relationship with Omega Zis, but I can't emphasize enough on how much Geo grows as a person, and his struggles with loneliness can really resonate, especially in a world that is more full of this than it has ever been in our recent post-pandemic times. It does end up being very relatable. Another thing that I think is super underrated here, and I wish more games would employ this, is while this game is a single-player game for 95% of it, it does have a pretty strong multiplayer component, and I'm not just talking about PvP. It allows you to add friends via bro bands or link bond relationships, real-life people who can change their profiles and bonds to come and assist you during the battles, or even power up your own Mega Man during the game, depending on how deep they've progressed in the game, to boost your character up. It takes the definition of the power of friendship to a whole new level, and I'm absolutely here for it. Even though, let's be real, I know online everyone says friends are a meme, but that is the point of this game. Loneliness and breaking through from it and the power of friendship. So there you go. The PvP, in my opinion, I enjoyed it, is also pretty good. And I'm not generally a big PvP competitor, but I played a lot in Starforce 3 during the release days, and you can bet that I'll be there this time around as well. Part of me wishes I had my DS with me so I could see what the folder I was running back in the day was, because I remember it being very effective. Though maybe these days with the evolution of the meta, it's gonna be old news. Who knows? Regardless, I really love this trilogy, and I think everyone should give it a shot and pick up the Legacy Collection if they can. I'll be there day one and probably honestly get it on both Switch and PC because I love this game so much. Unfortunately, there is no crossplay between the platforms this time around, but let me know if you're going to get it, and hopefully I will see you all there. One of my dreams is to eventually make a video on each one of the Mega Man RPG games, and hopefully this will give me the motivation to actually do it this time. But for now, that's all for this video, and I will see you in another video very soon. Hopefully another one about Mega Man. Peace.